If you've just tuned in, my guest is an emissary to Queensland. He's Tal Shmueli. He's an emissary to Queensland. He's a native of Ra'anana in Israel. He's been brought to Queensland by the Jewish Agency. In fact, he's been here for some time, talking with people, both Jewish and non-Jewish, about the homeland and the country and all the sorts of things. You've heard him talk about the questions already. Now you, one of the talks you give to people is about Jewish humour, which is one of the things that perhaps, partly as a result of New York Jews in particular, but Jewish humour is pretty well legendary around the world. Give me a list of some of the names of Jewish comedians that are out there, but you can't mention Borat or Bruno, isn't there? And you can't mention Woody Allen.
Okay.
Who else is there?
There's heaps. Don Rickles, Lenny Bruce. They're all there now. Howard Stern, Adam Sandler.
Howard Stern.
Yep.
Adam Sandler.
Who else? Jerry Seinfeld, Sarah Silverman, Groucho Marx. The
famous Marx Brothers. Yeah, okay.
Yeah, the list. Mel Brooks. The list can go on for quite some time.
Now, what is it about being Jewish that seems to produce such broad-ranging, brilliant comedians? What do you tell people when you talk about Jewish humour?
Have you seen the movie A Fish Called Wanda?
Yes.
Yeah. So John Cleese kind of narrows down everything about British humour into the fear of embarrassment or something like that. And I tried doing the same with my talks, and it's really hard capturing Jewish humour because it has evolved. I mean, from the first documented here joke, which was found in a cave in southern Iraq or something like that, about 4,000 years ago until Borat today. I mean, there's been so many different influences on it. I guess that Jews being a minority in everywhere they went, I know that a minority's weapon is being excellency is. So I guess even in humor, I know in a lot of other fields they tend to excel, and humor is, I guess, just one of them.
But Jewish humour has been cross-cultural as well. I mean, it's worked outside of their culture. Normally comedians work well in their own culture, and there's been something about Jewish humour which has worked well outside of the culture incredibly well. Why would that be?
I read someplace that a lot of the Jewish humor was based on kids that, I mean, used to get punched in school. So they go home thinking of punchlines because this is the only punches they could throw. So I think that sometimes tragic circumstances or oppression kind of brings people to laughter. It's a mechanism of coping, I guess. Okay.
You've rattled Adam Sandler, Jerry Seinfeld, Groucho Marx. Obviously, Woody Allen I mentioned, and Borat. Do people? What else do you tell people when you talk to them about Jewish humour and comedy? What else do you tell them? I'm intrigued to know how, because you're out there as a cultural emissary, letting people know about sort of the homeland and the culture. What else do people want to know about Jewish humour when you talk to them? Anything?
I think that if I stick to the academy side of things, people kind of tend to lose interest because they enjoy watching the people. I narrate, I tell the history of what happened, how it happened, and I show a clip of Don Rickles roasting someone or stuff like that. So I take them to a journey, get them to know a bit more about the culture and the past, and I think I start with a different angle. I just talk about laughter in general because it's something so global. Yeah. We try and find the health benefits of laughter. Mm-hmm. Not many people know that a child laughs about 400 times a day, and do you know how many times a grown-up laughs a day?
No.
Somewhere between 15 and 30, and
so a child laughs about 400 times a day.
Yeah.
An adult laughs somewhere between 15 and 30 times a day.
Yep, and I asked my audiences, what do you think happens? One of the ladies said that, well, kids laugh because they don't have kids.
Yeah, fair enough. Do you have children? Are you married?
No, I'm 25. I'm still...
Okay, so you're travelling the world, having adventure, telling jokes.
Yes, I try to.
Yeah, you've got the ideal lifestyle, really, haven't you?
Well, working with communities can be very challenging because I'm working for only a brief period of time, and some of the things I'm doing now will only bring fruit later in the community's life. So it is perfect because I do what I love doing, and that's very rare. I don't know many people who actually on daily basis do what they're passionate about.
Yeah. Now, when you talk to people about sort of Israel and where you come from, do they feel a sense of longing to go there? Like particularly so Jews who've say been in Queensland who've never been there or weren't born there. Do they feel any sort of connection or pull with Israel?
Yeah, I see it. I see most of the best responses. The people who love Israel most are people around my age, students who've been on an Israeli program, or kids just about to go to uni and they visit relatives. So when they speak about Israel, they see the differences and they see how Israeli life can be. They go to the nightclubs, they enjoy the food, the weather, the company. I mean, people in Israel are very warm, very embracing. So I think they have the hardest time coming back to Australia sometimes.
Do they?
Yeah.
Okay. Just
today I met a couple of guys that they're part of the youth movement here, and they came back from Israel just recently, and I showed some pictures and I flicked to some TV ads and stuff like that, and you could see it in their eyes that Israel has a special place in their hearts.
All we really know about Israel is what we see in the TV news, and it's always in the context of some sort of a Palestinian versus Israeli conflict or a clash. When you travel the world, do people ask you about the news reports much? What do they ask you?
I had one incident which wasn't very nice. I was sitting in London. I was just after cycling through Scotland. I went down to London, and I sat in a hostel with people from all over the world. There was an Australian guy, a Dutch guy, and people asked me, kind of getting to know each other, where are you from? And I said, Israel, and the place went silent, and the guy saying, oh, isn't that dangerous? And he had absolutely no idea where Israel is on the map. When I started talking about it, I could see that the guy felt very embarrassed because he was clueless about what's going on. Mm-hmm. I mean, people who read, people who don't take for granted what they see in the media, they often know that there's more than the media shows.
Mm-hmm. Well, you said the place went silent when you were asked this question in London. There was a fair bit of tension in the room, wasn't there?
Yeah, because...
because you identified yourself as Israeli?
Yeah, and I guess a lot of them, I don't know if they've met an Israeli before, or because a lot of the things they hear about Israel aren't positive sometimes. So when you hear someone from Israel, they kind of, I don't speak English, it's not my first language, and I'm not from Europe, so it's kind of sometimes it could be strange for people.
My guest up close and personal is Tal Shmueli. He's a communal emissary from Israel. What do you think we most get wrong about Israel? What we most misunderstand? Is there anything? You've been here for 18 months or so now. You're nearly at the end of your role. What do you think we most misunderstand about Israel?
Well, I don't think...
your personal opinion.
Yeah, I don't think people misunderstand. I think people don't bother look into things. I mean, people are being fed from newspapers and websites, and, depends on the ownership of the website or the news site or whatever it is. People just don't dig into things. People just take for granted what they hear, and I guess this is...
So we're too superficial about our understanding of Israel and its problems with its neighbours.
Yep, I guess it's just being, superficiality.
But where should people go to find out more? Where does Tal think that there's deeper information about what's happening in the Middle East?
Well, deeper information can be found on various websites, or just being interested, reading more than one site. If you log into Australians for Palestine website and you read only what they have to say, then obviously you won't get the big picture. But I guess the best source of information would be either speaking to an Israeli guy or coming and taking the 30,000 kilometers trip to the Middle East and see for yourself. I promise a place in my house for everyone who comes.
That's a dangerous promise, Tal.
Especially on national radio.
Australians have a tendency just to turn up and say hi.
Well,
come and stay.
I'll be home around September, I guess.